But anyways, going to kick off UFC. So UFC is having a great time right now. Big for UFC. They had UFC 250 last week. Fight Island was announced. They announced the 3 championship fights in UFC 251. So UFC has been able to survive this COVID environment. Again, there's not that many people that it doesn't take that many people to, put together a UFC card. It's obviously a lot less than what an NBA game will take, baseball, football, any other sport. So UFC has been able to thrive in this situation where they're really the only sports league or association that is hosting events on a regular basis. So I will talk about the UFC Fight Night that just passed this past weekend. So I'm going to actually jump into that, the main card. Let's go ahead and get into it. So Mariya Agapova versus Hannah Cifers is the first match of the main card this past UFC fight. And Mariya actually went into the fight 8-1. Now is 9-1 because she had a submission of Hannah Cifers in the first round. I believe it was a rear naked choke. And Mariya Agapova is someone to be reckoned with in the lightweight division for the women's lightweight division. Now, she still needs a lot more, poise and experience before she could go all the way to the top to fight Valentina Shevchenko. But I think she will be someone that needs to be reckoned with in the future. She's still young, has a ton of energy. She's great on her feet and has some skills when it comes to grappling. Again, she was able to submit Hannah Cifers, and I want you guys to remember the name Mariya Agapova. She will be someone to be reckoned with. She will be climbing up the ranks soon, and I'm excited to watch her. She was very exciting opening up that main card for the UFC Fight Night this past Saturday. The next fight, Jourdain Espinosa versus Mark De La Rosa. So Jourdain Espinoza, Jourdain Espinoza, actually had a great fight. He ended up winning by decision. Outclassed De La Rosa on his feet when it came to striking. Very quick boxing background. During the fight, had his hands down for most of it, but was quick enough, had great footwork to work on his distance, hit De La Rosa with the jab. At the end of the day, he was just faster than De La Rosa. De La Rosa wasn't able to kind of catch on to what Espinoza was doing, and at the end of the 3 rounds, he pretty much was dominated for the whole fight. But I'm sure Mark De La Rosa is going to come back, take this as a learning lesson, and try to redeem himself in his next fight. But Jourdain Espinoza, again, great fight for him. He will need to get a little bit better with grappling, but again, when it comes to striking and his footwork, I think if he's able to stay on his feet, he can compete with some of the best of them out there when it comes to striking. Now, this next fight for me was the fight of the night. It was Andre Touchy Fili. Now, this is probably the best name. This is probably the best nickname in UFC. So Andre Touchy, his last name is Fili, and his fight nickname is Touchy. So Andre Touchy Fili versus Charles Jourdain. And this one, again, was fight of the night. 2 guys, high energy, strikers. Obviously, Jourdain could grapple as well, but this was straight striking of match. And it was a very close fight. Now, to start off the fight, Jourdain won the first round, I believe. Hurt Touchy Fili with a high kick that ended up hurting Fili's arm, actually, so to where he wasn't able to throw another. I believe it was I think it was his right hand that got hurt when he tried to block it. He didn't throw a right hand for about a minute or two at the end of the first round, so that kind of hurt him going into the second round, obviously, or actually ending the first round. So again, I had him losing the first round, but at whatever point, he didn't complain about his arm being hurt or anything like that during the break. In the second round, he came back, started throwing it, and actually came back in this fight. It was a close fight. It could have went either way, and I wouldn't have been surprised if Jourdain won at the end by decision. It was that close. I think it was a split decision too. But Fili came out with the win. Again, showed his toughness, showed his determination to come back after injuring his arm, or at least injuring or hurting his arm enough to where he couldn't throw it for a couple of minutes. But to have that composure to come back in rounds 2 and 3 and get the win over Jourdain, who was 10-2 prior to this fight, was definitely a big win for Andre Fili. So big shout out to him. Big shout out to whoever came out with his nickname, Touchy Fili. A little creepy, but again, pretty funny as well. So I had that as the fight of the night for me. The next fight, Charles Rosa versus Kevin Aguilar. This one I wasn't able to watch fully. I was actually cooking at the time, so I missed some of the fight. But both of these guys were scrappy. Rosa outlasted Aguilar. Even, with that late push by Aguilar, Rosa was able to edge him out. And then getting into the co-main event, we had Karl Roberson versus Marvin Vettori. Now, this fight has been rescheduled multiple times. We talked about this on the podcast where they had an actual incident in the hotel when that fight was canceled prior to one of the pay-per-view cards. I can't remember the exact pay-per-view. It might have been, I'm sure it was UFC 249. So that one was canceled. Again, this has been rescheduled twice. Roberson has had issues with weight. So these guys had a history. It's a bad history. During the weigh-in, they weren't even talking. It was really just a stare down. This one wasn't really much talk. But going into the fight, I was expecting more of a fight. Vettori actually pretty much dominated Roberson. And then once it got to the ground, Roberson was pretty much done. And he was submitted as well in the first round. So that was a first-round submission by Marvin Vettori. He's looking to climb back up the ranks to get his rematch with Stylebender. So again, Vettori has some of the characteristics to give Stylebender some problems, but again, he still needs a little bit of more experience, maybe some polish before he gets in there with Stylebender. Because Stylebender again the guy is unreal, and you don't want to strike with him, and getting him on the ground is also a tough task. So Marvin Vettori definitely has his work cut out for him to climb back up the rankings, but this was a good start. And then the main event, Jessica Eye versus Cynthia Calvillo. So this one was an interesting fight. I know Cynthia was actually moving up in weight to fight Jessica Eye, who was the #1 contender, and I was sharp coming out right out the gate. Striking was there, and it looked like it was going to be a mismatch. She was just clearly faster. I was under the impression that Cynthia was going to get knocked out just based on the speed difference I've seen. But after the first round, Cynthia was able to go back to her corner saying, hey, I get it. I need to, take more control. I need to slow this pace down. And that was exactly what she did for the rest of the fight. She controlled the pace. She got key takedowns at pivotal moments that definitely was able to win her some rounds, because a lot of her takedowns were at the end of the round when it was close enough to where it could have went either way. She had a takedown, kept Eye on her back, and I think those takedowns were definitely the difference in the fight. So it's exciting to see her go up and beat Jessica Eye. Now, she will have her work cut out for her as well before she could fight Valentina Shevchenko. That one, I think she gets knocked out. She goes in there and fights her. I mean, obviously she beat the #1 contender, but Valentina Shevchenko is just like a whole different monster, a different animal. So based on what I saw, if she fought like that versus Shevchenko, it's take your house, sell it, take that money, go to Vegas, dump it all on a knockout for Shevchenko, and then it's a wrap. Then you could thank me later. So great win by Cynthia Calvillo. So again, I want to see her versus Mariya Agapova. I mean, I know Agapova is still working her way up the ranks, but I think that would be an intriguing matchup as well. So there are a lot of options there. again, Shevchenko's on a whole different level. There's really no one to even compete with her at this point, at least in the flyweight division. Again, Amanda Nunes is, Shirei beat Shevchenko twice, so there's no third matchup. I know Dana White already commented on that. So again, for Shevchenko, Nunes, there's really no competition within their respective weight division. So again, they're just trying to make a contender so they could keep pushing these championship fights with these two fighters and help them build their legacy. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more fire sports takes. And for those of you who are on the go, make sure you subscribe to our full show, which airs every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and a bunch more. Until then, I'm chucking it up, and I'll see you guys next time.